I turned this into this. I scanned it, then finished the artwork digitally. If you want to watch the speed paint, click the link below or just go to my time-lapse playlist. This video will exclusively be on my thought process as I digitally color this piece. So at the start of the painting, I started by drawing first some veins. Usually this in my head, it's because the X she's holding is actually a fantasy type of X which grants power. So the law in this was that for every force the X takes, the more it gets powerful and the more impact it has when she attacks. But then there's a catch, since this drawback would lead it consuming her life force as a payment for the immense power she might be getting from it. So I started with the veins, since I noticed that it would be challenging to kind of draw them in when the piece is almost finished, or when I think that it was going to be a hindrance in some way. So I started with that, and then I went with some flat colors. So I tackled the skin first. Usually in the past, skin was always my weak point, so I wanted to focus my energy on that the most. So I just did a normal skin tone, then darkened it, then I added highlights. Then after highlights, I went and did my favorite part, which was her shoes and the I don't know what it's called in that language, but usually this type of clothing is native to African people, so I decided to add that inside to make the piece feel fresh, to add a bit of variation. Everybody likes a good variation, right? I colored that, and you notice the thing she's wearing around her waist, it has a bit of fur like, so this is actually animal skin. So she probably hunted some strong animal and used that as part of her clothing. And since this is animal skin, it would be protective against things like arrow attacks. It could soften the blow with blades, but yeah. So then I started to color in her armor. At first I didn't know what color the armor would be, so I thought I would make the leatherish armor in a way, the skin armor, but then the colors were just too bland, so I decided that she would be wearing metal and with gold outlines, since that would make her pop out. So on a new layer, I set the new layer to multiply mode, then used a soft brush to add a bit of dark tones to the armor. I added it where I felt as though that way it would have been hidden by the shadows and all that stuff. So I added it there. Then I started on a new layer again. Then I added highlights again with a soft round brush. I used it with 20% opacity. I then started to add glow effects. I added glow effects to the hammer to signify the power. If you noticed really closely, the X itself has a kind of like crystal. I think at the time thinking this piece, the crystal was the source of the power in the X. Basically, the X itself is not actually a fantasy X. It was just a normal X until she put that crystal in it so that she could be a bit powered per se, not overpowered but powered. So I started to add glow effects to the X and to the arm, which would be most exposed to it. I started to add glow effects. The reason why she's tattooed is because when this thing sucks out her life energy, it uses those tentacle, or you would call them root-like strands, to cover her body. So the more she uses it, the more she gets covered with it, and the more life force she loses. I gave her dreadlocks because, again, I'm a big fan of dreadlocks, and I just decided that wow, she looks cooler that way, so I gave it dreadlocks. Then the eye part was a bit challenging because I drew both her eyes open, and then I noticed that it was a bit bland. So then I decided to, injure her in a bit. So the other eye in this painting, it's totally functionless. I wonder what type of monster she was fighting that day. So the eye is now functionless, and then I started to add um highlights throughout the entire piece: her clothes, her armor, the axe, the clothes. And then I thought the painting was finished. Then I noticed that she was floating on white space, man. So I tried, bland backgrounds. It just didn't work. So that's when I decided that I'm gonna have to draw backgrounds, which is my weakest point. I'm not a professional artist, so these things I learned them on by myself, you know. So it was challenging. So I did the most basic mountain ish or hillish type of background. It was, I would say, acceptable. It wasn't that amazing, and I suck at backgrounds. I need to practice more on that. So I just, yeah, added the heel. Then I did a background, and I saw that it looks good. So that's my painting process when it came to this painting of Helga, my original character. And one thing I'd like to say is that even if you suck at something, man, you never know unless you try, And also, you won't learn anything when you don't try to do anything. So this was a bit out of my comfort zone of what I'm used to drawing. So I enjoyed the process. This wasn't the best piece, but it was the best that I got out of it. Like, I tried my best. So I'm continually learning, and I try to improve myself in any way I can. Anyways, thanks for watching this video, and please hit a like and subscribe button if you liked it. I want to post more content like this in the future. And this has been KB. Thanks for watching.